The casino mogul's son walks into Judge Judy's courtroom like he owns it. A casino mogul's son draped in Rolex, designer suits, and pure arrogance. His father's billions have bought him everything. Respect? No. Manners? Absolutely not. Humility? Never heard of it. He looks Judge Judy straight in the eye with a smirk that screams entitlement and says the words that will destroy him. You won't do anything. Judge Judy's expression freezes. The courtroom goes silent. In the next 30 seconds, she dismantles every lie, exposes every excuse, and leaves him shattered. But before we get into it, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments and hit subscribe for more shocking courtroom moments. The smirk lands first, sharp, deliberate, a weapon disguised as a smile. The courtroom seems to exhale all at once as he strolls in, dripping confidence like cologne. Judge Judy watches him with an unblinking stillness that feels more dangerous than any outburst. He walks as though the world is a stage built for him alone. The Rolex catches the overhead lights, scattering cold reflections across the room. His designer suit moves with the ease of someone who has never been told no, not even once. Every step whispers entitlement, each gesture crafted for an invisible audience that exists only in his imagination. He does not look at the plaintiff. He barely looks at the bailiff. But when he finally meets Judge Judy's eyes, the smirk widens, the arrogance sharpening at the edges. It is not confidence. It is the kind of superiority that has never been tested, never been denied, never been corrected. The camera, in the mind's eye, tightens on that expression. The slight raise of his chin, the subtle dismissal in his posture, the silent declaration, "I own this place." He stands there as if waiting for applause. Judge Judy says nothing. Her silence settles into the room like heavy dust, coating every corner, every breath. The contrast between them is almost cinematic, his restless arrogance against her perfectly contained patience. She does not need to announce authority. She is authority. The plaintiff shifts nervously, clutching a folder as if it is the only solid thing left in her world. Her presence is quiet but not weak. There is something honest in the way she watches him. Not angry, not even frightened, just tired of being dismissed by men who were told they mattered more. The mogul's son notices her only when he wants to, and even then, only to wave a casual hand as though brushing away a fly. His father's billions have become his armor, his badge, his alibi. He assumes they protect him from consequence, from scrutiny, from truth. Judge Judy tilts her head, studying him with the same expression she might use on a puzzle missing half its pieces. A slow inhale, a measured exhale, not a single eyebrow raised, yet. "The record will reflect the defendant has appeared," she says, her voice calm, deliberate, cool enough to lower the temperature of the room. He smirks again, leaning back as if settling into a private theater. "Let's get this over with," he mutters, just loud enough. The audience murmurs. Even the bailiff glances up, sensing the electric shift in the air. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens, a blade being unsheathed. She taps her pen once, a sound that slices through the silence with surgical precision. "The only thing we will be getting over," she says, her voice barely above a whisper, "is your belief that you are in control here." The smirk falters. Judy leans forward, eyes locked on his. "Let us begin with one simple truth. If you can recognize it." The smirk returns, but this time, it trembles at the edges. Judge Judy has not raised her voice, and yet he already looks less certain than before. Silence presses closer, waiting to see how his arrogance will try to survive. He shifts his weight, adjusts his designer jacket, and does everything he can to reclaim the confidence that slipped from him a moment earlier. But the courtroom remembers. They saw the flicker. That single instant where his bravado faltered under her gaze. Judge Judy does not look away from him as she opens the file in front of her. A slow turn of a page, an even slower inhale. Every movement measured, deliberate, designed to remind him that she controls the pace, not him. "State your full name," she says. He sighs loudly, as though she asked him to lift something heavy. "You already know it," he mutters. "I asked for your name," Judy replies, her voice as smooth as glass. "Not your commentary." He hesitates. then finally answers. The words come out clipped, laced with irritation. He is not used to being questioned. He is used to being applauded. Judy scribbles something on her pad, not even glancing up. The gesture is small, but the effect is colossal. He shifts again, suddenly unsure of what she wrote. "So," she says, "you claim the plaintiff is lying." "Obviously," he replies, shrugging as if dismissing the sun for rising. "People like her always lie. They want money, attention, whatever." A few people in the audience inhale sharply. Even the bailiff's brow twitches. Judy sets her pen down. "People like her?" The words float across the room like a dare. He leans back, flashing that grin again. "You know what I mean?" "No," she says. "I do not think you know what you mean." His smile thins. Judy begins questioning him about the incident, asking for basic details, dates, times, locations, nothing complicated, but every answer of his is a stumble, rushed, messy, inconsistent. He tries to cover the cracks with swagger, but swagger is not evidence, and Judy treats it like background noise. When she asks for his version of events in a clear timeline, he waves a hand dismissively. "Look, I do not need to explain myself. My father already handled the situation." The plaintiff drops her eyes, the words hitting her like a familiar bruise. Judy's head tilts. "Your father handled it." "Yeah," he says. "People know who he is. Things get resolved." Judy lets the silence bloom again. Only this time it grows darker. He feels it. The cameras feel it. Even the walls seem to lean in as if listening for what comes next. She reaches for a thin folder beside her, not the main file, but a smaller one he has not seen yet. "This," she says, drawing it toward her, "is where your story stops matching reality." His jaw tightens. Judy places a single fingertip on the folder. "Shall we open it together?" The cameras lock onto his face, waiting for the first real crack to show. His smirk has not vanished entirely, but the confidence behind it flickers like a flame, too close to wind. Judge Judy's fingers hover over the folder, and suddenly he is not as tall in his chair as he was a moment before. The folder lies between them like a loaded weapon. Thin, ordinary, but dangerous in a way money cannot silence. The son leans forward, trying to reclaim control through posture alone. It does not work. The courtroom has already shifted. Everyone feels it. That subtle tilt when power begins to drain from the person who thought he owned it. Judge Judy opens the folder with a slow, deliberate motion, revealing clean white pages. No theatrics, no rush, just the simple truth sliding into the light. "You stated," she begins, her voice calm, "that you were nowhere near the plaintiff on the day in question." He nods immediately, too quickly. "Correct." She turns one page. "Then perhaps you can explain this timestamp." The document faces him across the bench, a printed receipt showing his location at the exact time he claimed to be across town. His jaw tightens, but he forces a shrug. "That proves nothing," he says. "Anyone could have used my card." The plaintiff finally looks up. Her expression is soft, steady, heartbreakingly sincere. She does not speak, but her eyes say everything. He knows exactly where he was. Judy slides another paper forward. "And this message? The one sent from your phone minutes later?" He opens his mouth, but words do not come. His throat moves in a hard swallow. For the first time, the silence hurts him more than anything Judy has said. The audience shifts, a whisper of fabric, a breath held too long. Even the bailiff, a man carved from stoicism, straightens as if anticipating the unraveling. Judy continues reading, each sentence a scalpel. Contradictions, inconsistencies, and careless arrogance woven into his own statements. He tries to laugh it off, but the sound lands flat, hollow, desperate. "You are twisting things," he argues, losing rhythm. "This is all being blown out of proportion." "By whom?" Judy asks. He hesitates. His eyes move from Judy to the plaintiff, then to the witness seats, then to the cameras. For a split second, he looks like a trapped animal, the kind that still wants to roar but is beginning to understand the cage. The plaintiff takes a breath, stands, and speaks for the first time. "I did not want this," she says quietly. I just wanted him to stop. The simplicity of it pierces the room. No theatrics, no anger, just truth. And truth has a way of cutting deeper than any accusation. Judy closes the folder gently. She did not ask for your money, she says. She asked for honesty. His face reddens, his jaw clenches. The smirk is gone now, fully gone, replaced with something raw, the first hint of fear. Judy locks eyes with him and says, "Explain this, if you can." His confidence breaks for just a breath, a tiny fracture, but enough for everyone to feel it. He tries to hide it with a laugh that dies too quickly. Judge Judy watches him with the quiet interest of someone who already knows how this ends. The courtroom air feels heavier now, thick with the weight of words spoken and the truth chasing behind them. He straightens sharply, attempting to regain command of a story that no longer bends to him. The Rolex flashes as he adjusts his sleeve, a desperate reminder to everyone, especially himself, that he is supposed to be untouchable. Judge Judy lifts the first folder again, its contents already rattling his facade. "You insisted," she says, "that the plaintiff fabricated her claims, but so far every answer you have given contradicts your own timeline." He forces a smirk. "People lie to get attention. It happens." Judy's eyes narrow, not in anger, but precision. "And you believe your contradictions should be ignored because—" He opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. The silence spreads like a slow burn. She begins laying out evidence with surgical calm. The receipt, the message, the location data. Each page lands on the desk with a soft thud. Soft, but devastating. He watches them accumulate like a stack of falling dominoes, each one a step closer to the end of the story he thought he controlled. He laughs suddenly, loud, forced, brittle. "You are taking all this way too seriously." "No," Judy replies. "I am taking it exactly as seriously as the truth requires." The plaintiff shifts, her hands clasped tightly but her posture firm. She does not hide anymore. The moral gravity in her presence pulls the room into alignment, a stark contrast to the defendant's unraveling arrogance. Judy reaches the bottom of the first folder and pauses. This is the moment. Everyone feels the static in the air, the quiet before an emotional detonation. He leans forward, sensing danger but pretending otherwise. "That's it? That's your big moment?" Judy closes the folder with a soft snap. "No," she says. Her hand moves to the side. "There is also this." A second folder slides into view, thicker, heavier, unfamiliar. The defendant freezes, not dramatically but instinctively, the way a person pauses when they accidentally step too close to the edge of something deep. "What is that?" he asks, voice sharp. Judy taps the cover with one finger. "This contains statements from someone you know quite well." A ripple moves across the courtroom, a collective inhale pulled tight inside everyone's chest. He tries to laugh again, but the sound breaks mid-breath. Who would—" "You will hear it," Judy says, in their own words. His face pales. The smirk disappears completely. Judy opens the second folder, and the first page reveals a familiar signature. Someone close to him has turned. His eyes lock on the signature like it is a ghost he thought he buried. The courtroom watches his confidence drain color from his face. For the first time, his silence speaks louder than his arrogance ever did. The page trembles slightly beneath his gaze, though his hands never touched it. Judge Judy holds it steady, the way a surgeon steadies a scalpel before cutting into something diseased. The audience leans forward without meaning to, sensing the unraveling beginning in real time. He swallows hard. This is a joke." Judy does not blink. "I assure you, there is nothing humorous here." His eyes dart toward the door, toward the cameras, toward the plaintiff, anywhere except the evidence tearing a hole through his practiced arrogance. The room feels smaller now, as if the walls have moved closer just to watch him struggle. "You cannot trust that," he says, voice cracking under the strain. "People will say anything." Judy tilts her head slightly. "People who know you well, people who have worked with you, people who have defended you in the past?" He stiffens. His jaw clenches so tightly that a muscle ticks along the edge. The plaintiff watches him with a calm that is almost tender, Not triumphant, not vindictive, just someone who has spent too long hoping someone would finally see the truth. Judy lifts the next page. Your associate states, she reads, that you used your father's name to intimidate the plaintiff, that you bragged about being untouchable, that you dismissed her complaint before she even filed it. That is a lie, he blurts, too fast, too loud. Judy raises a single eyebrow, the courtroom equivalent of a detonator. Then why, she asks softly, does this signature match the one on your business filings, on your lease documents, and on your prior court submissions? His breath stutters. The bailiff steps slightly closer, not out of threat, but instinct, as if he has seen this collapse before and recognizes the moment arrogance transforms into desperation. Someone must have forced him to sign it, the defendant says. People target me, because of my family, because of who I am. No, Judy replies, her voice a steady blade. They came forward because of what you did. The plaintiff lowers her head for a moment. The courtroom quiets with her, the kind of silence that carries collective understanding. Judy places both folders on the bench, aligning them with meticulous precision. This is not one mistake, she says. This is a pattern of entitlement, excuses, and avoidance of responsibility, and you have been taught that money can buy your way out of consequence. His hands grip the edges of the defendant's table, knuckles whitening. He looks like a man holding on to the last piece of a collapsing balcony. You keep insisting on respect, Judy continues. Her tone does not rise, it deepens. Let me show you what earns it. A ripple of tension moves across the room. Judy leans in, her voice cutting through the stillness. Because from this point forward, your father's shadow will not protect you. He opens his mouth to defend himself, and in that very breath, he begins to unravel. Even the courtroom feels it. His words are about to betray him more deeply than any document ever could. Judge Judy has not moved. She sits with the stillness of a mountain, letting his panic churn the air around him. The plaintiff stays quiet, hands folded, eyes lowered not out of fear but in anticipation. They all know what is coming. They have seen it before, arrogance collapsing under its own weight. He finally exhales, long and shaky. This is ridiculous, he says. Everyone here is acting like I did something terrible. Judy responds with a calm, icy precision. You do not think intimidation is terrible? I did not intimidate anyone, he snaps. If she felt intimidated, that is her problem. People misinterpret things all the time. A ripple moves through the audience. His words hang heavily, the kind of sentence that would echo for the rest of the case. Judy tilts her gaze downward, scribbling a note. She does not even need to say anything. The gesture alone sends heat rushing up his neck. So, she says without looking up, your argument is that your tone, your actions, and your reputation are innocent, but everyone else is simply too sensitive? Well, yeah, he mutters, shrugging. And your associate, who provided sworn statements, is also too sensitive? He stumbles. He misunderstood. He always misunderstands. Judy places her pen down carefully, lining it up with the edge of her legal pad. Or, she says slowly, he understood you perfectly. The defendant's breath sharpens. His eyes flick toward the cameras. Big mistake. The audience sees it. The nation sees it. That tiny glance screams fear. He pushes forward, voice growing louder. You know what? Believe whatever you want. My father already talked to people about this. So let us not pretend this little show changes anything. The temperature in the room drops. Judy's head lifts. The eyes, the silence, the shift. Every person in the gallery straightens as if pulled by a string. Little show, she repeats, her voice controlled but sharp enough to cut glass. He panics. I just mean, this whole thing is blown out of proportion. She is exaggerating. The plaintiff lifts her gaze, not with anger but with the quiet strength of someone who has endured enough to stop hiding. Her expression alone punctures the last of his certainty. He keeps talking, unable to stop himself. People like her always want something. And the associate, he is jealous. He always depended on me. I gave him everything. I made him relevant. Judy's voice slices through the rant like a gavel made of steel. I strongly suggest, she says, that you stop talking before you bury yourself further. But he does not stop. He cannot. His ego is drowning, and he swings wildly for anything to hold on to. You think I am scared, he says. You think you can do something to me? You cannot. None of this will matter. A collective gasp. Even the bailiff takes one step closer. Judy slowly raises an eyebrow, the silent omen of destruction. She leans forward, voice low and devastating. Your mouth has done more damage in 5 minutes than any evidence ever could. If you were sitting in that courtroom, would you let him keep talking, or stop him before he buried himself even deeper? His last words still hang in the air, reckless and trembling. Judge Judy's silence becomes something alive, something that watches him, measures him, decides him, and for the first time he realizes he may have already lost. The defendant shifts in his chair, suddenly aware of how small it feels beneath him. His confidence, once strutted through the courtroom like a parade float, now deflates in heavy breaths. Even the lights seem harsher, exposing him from angles wealth cannot hide. Judy folds her hands, elbows on the bench, leaning forward with the quiet authority of someone who sees exactly where a person's story will break. Let us revisit, she says calmly, your claim that you did nothing wrong. He straightens, clinging to whatever fragments of arrogance remain. Yeah, I said what I said. And you stand by it? He hesitates. It is slight, barely a pause, but Judy catches it instantly. The courtroom feels that shift, the small but seismic wobble of a man losing grip on his own narrative. I mean, obviously, yes, he stammers. She overreacted. She is emotional. The plaintiff does not flinch. If anything, she sits taller, her presence steady, unshaken. Her calm becomes its own kind of evidence, one the courtroom trusts instantly. Judy lifts the second folder, letting its weight rest gently on her fingertips. Your associate did not describe an emotional outburst, she says. He described intimidation. Repeated. Intentional. He lied, the defendant blurts. He has always been jealous of me. Jealous, Judy repeats, voice cool but incredulous. Jealous enough to provide documents, screenshots, recordings? His throat tightens. He doctored those. The bailiff shifts closer, not aggressively, but in that universal gesture courtroom staff make when they sense a defendant beginning to come apart. Judy opens the folder to another page. The rustle sounds louder than it should. Here, she says, is his statement describing the conversation you had about the plaintiff before she filed her complaint. She reads aloud. His face drains. I never said that, he interrupts. Judy looks at him, really looks at him. You are certain? Yes, he insists, but his voice betrays a tremor. Judy holds up the page so he can see something written in the margin, the date, time, and location where the conversation allegedly took place. He blinks rapidly, swallows. That is impossible, he mutters. I was not even there. Judy turns another page, this one containing the very evidence that proves he was in fact exactly there. Phone records, GPS data, a witness's brief note. The room tilts against him. You see, Judy says gently, almost sadly, the truth does not need your permission to exist. His hands grip the edge of the table, knuckles whitening. Someone set me up, he says. Someone is trying to take me down. Someone? Judy echoes. Or everyone who finally refuses to cover for you? The question hits him harder than any piece of paper. His eyes flick wildly, toward the clerk, the cameras, the plaintiff, the bailiff, as if searching for an ally in a room full of consequences. But consequences do not ally. They wait. And Judy lets the silence close around him like a door locking. Judy lowers the folder and says, You should know. The truth always comes from the person you least expect. The door at the side of the courtroom opens, and the defendant's entire body stiffens as if a ghost just stepped through. Because the person walking in is not a stranger. It is the one person he always believed would never turn on him. For a moment, he forgets how to breathe. His eyes widen, then narrow, then widen again, unable to settle on one emotion. The witness steps forward slowly, nervously, but with a determination that fills the room like a soft, rising storm. His closest friend, his confidant, the person who spent years protecting his ego, absorbing his cruelty, defending his recklessness. And now, that same person stands at the witness stand with trembling hands but steady eyes. Judge Judy glances at the defendant. "You seem surprised," she says. He chokes out, "What is he doing here?" His friend, once his shadow, once his shield, looks at him with a heartbreak that is somehow worse than anger. "I am here," he says quietly, "because you told me I would never have to lie again." The defendant surges upright. "I never said that. You are twisting—" Judy raises a hand. Silence slams down like a gavel made of air. His friend continues, voice cracking but firming as he speaks. "You bragged about being untouchable. You laughed about how she," he nods toward the plaintiff, "would never get justice. You said the court would fold under your name, under your father's name." A gasp ripples through the audience, sharp, collective, electric. Judge Judy's expression does not change, but her eyes sharpen with unmistakable clarity. "Is that so?" The defendant shakes his head vigorously. "He is lying. He has always been jealous of my family. He wants attention." His friend lowers his eyes for a moment, swallowing emotion. "I wanted you to stop," he whispers. "I wanted you to be better." Judy picks up the second folder again. "Your associate provided several items of evidence." She removes a printed page, a screenshot, a message, the defendant's message, sent at 10:42 p.m. Mocking the plaintiff, mocking the court, mocking the entire process. And then the line that lands like a punch to the ribs. "Judge Judy will not do anything. She knows who my father is." The room freezes. The defendant goes pale, then red, then pale again. "That is taken out of context." Judy's voice gains a layer of steel. "Please enlighten me on the context in which this would be acceptable." He opens his mouth. No sound escapes. His friend wipes his palm on his pants, steadying himself. "I came because I could not watch him hurt another person. Not again." The plaintiff glances at him, just briefly, with gratitude softening her shoulders. In a story built on arrogance, humility finally enters the room. The defendant grips the table as if the wood itself could save him. It cannot. Judge Judy leans back, studying the broken pieces of the boy who thought he was untouchable. "Let us see," she says calmly, "who folds now." His world does not collapse with a scream. It collapses with a breath he cannot finish. And the courtroom watches as the empire he built on arrogance begins to crumble beneath him. He is still standing when the silence hits him. Heavy, suffocating, thick like wet cement. His closest friend's words echo through the room, repeating in his mind with every heartbeat, "I wanted you to be better." For the first time, he is not sure what expression to wear. The smirk has deserted him. The anger is too thin. The entitlement, once his armor, now feels like an open wound. Judge Judy sits back, her posture tall and unyielding. "You may respond," she says, granting him the floor. But the floor is the last thing he wants. He tries to find words, any words. But everything he reaches for cuts him. This is not fair," he says finally, voice cracking under the weight of its own weakness. "He was supposed to support me. He knows how people try to exploit me." His friend's shoulders slump. "You exploited her," he says softly, "and you used me to help you do it." The defendant's head jerks up, eyes wide with disbelief, as if betrayal should only ever happen in one direction, never toward him. The room feels colder now, stripped of the warmth arrogance once brought him. His father's wealth cannot insulate him here. His name, once a crown, now feels like a shackle. Judge Judy leans forward. "When a man loses every defender he has, Mr. Stanton, the first question he should ask is not, 'Why are they against me?' but, 'What have I done to push them away?'" He swallows hard. The cameras zoom in. He feels their gaze like a spotlight burning through his facade. "I did not push anyone away," he mutters, but even he does not believe the sentence. His voice breaks on the last word, betraying him more honestly than anything he has said so far. The plaintiff lifts her eyes, and her calm gaze shoots straight through him. "All I wanted," she says quietly, "was for you to stop hurting people." The courtroom falls into a hush so deep it sounds like the room has forgotten how to breathe. His breathing quickens, his eyes dart. The defensive walls in his demeanor crumble brick by brick. Every thread of control slips through his fingers as reality claws its way in. "Look at me," Judy says. He does, slowly, fearfully. "You believed your father's money made you untouchable. You believed loyalty meant silence. You believed fear was the same as respect." Her voice lowers, soft but lethal. "And you were wrong on every count." He sways slightly, as if her words physically struck him. His friend watches with sorrow, not triumph. The plaintiff watches with strength, not vengeance. The audience watches with awe, not malice. And he watches everything he built collapse. Judy lifts a small device from her bench. "Before you continue digging," she says, "there is something you need to hear. Do you think remorse should ever erase guilt, or does justice demand accountability no matter how late the apology comes?" The device in Judge Judy's hand glows faintly, a quiet threat wrapped in plastic and truth. The defendant stares at it like it might explode, and in a way, it will. Because nothing destroys ego faster than hearing your own voice tell the truth you worked so hard to hide. Judge Judy presses play. A soft click. A brief, static crackle. Then, his voice fills the courtroom, confident, unfiltered, dripping with the worst parts of himself. "She will not win anything. She is nobody. My father makes problems disappear." A short laugh, arrogant and careless. Judge Judy knows better than to cross us. The audio hits him harder than any accusation. His face drains of color, his lips part slightly, as if the words floating through the speakers cannot possibly belong to him. The courtroom reacts in one synchronized, horrified inhale. Judy pauses the clip. "Is that your voice?" He stammers. Someone, this is edited." "Answer the question," Judy says. He grips the sides of the table so tightly his knuckles go bloodless. "Yes," he whispers, barely audible. "It is my voice." The plaintiff closes her eyes. Not in triumph, but in relief, like someone watching a long, painful truth finally rise to the surface. Judy resumes the recording. She should be grateful I even talked to her. All these people thinking they have rights because they can file a claim. It is embarrassing. He winces at the sound of his own disdain. His shoulders fold inward, collapsing a little more each second. His friend in the witness chair looks away, unable to watch the unraveling of someone he once called family. When the clip ends, the silence that follows is not empty. It is judgment. It is consequence. It is the sound of a man hearing himself for the first time. Judy lowers the device. "Explain that." He shakes his head, but the movement is weak, childlike, a far cry from the man who swaggered into the courtroom believing he owned it. "I was angry," he says. "People say things when they are angry." "Anger does not create arrogance," Judy replies. "Arrogance creates anger." He tries to speak, tries to recover the smooth tone that once came effortlessly. But his voice betrays him, cracking under the weight of everything he pretended not to be. "I did not mean it," he says. "I was just frustrated. Everything was going wrong." "Everything," Judy repeats quietly, "went wrong because of your choices." He looks up at her, and for the first time, the courtroom sees it. Fear. Not fear of punishment, but fear of recognition. Fear of finally confronting the truth about the man he has become. The plaintiff watches him, her expression softening in a way he does not deserve, but desperately needs. Her silence becomes a mirror he cannot avoid. His voice trembles. "I do not know why I said those things." "Yes," Judy says. "You do." His breath catches. Judy leans in, her voice softer now, which somehow makes it sharper. "And the part that concerns me most is that this does not sound like a mistake. It sounds like a pattern." He sits there, Small in a chair built for adults, staring at nothing while the room watches him break from the inside out. The arrogance is gone, the facade is gone, and what remains is a young man terrified of the truth finally catching up to him. Judge Judy allows the silence to settle, not as punishment but as mirror, forcing him to sit with his own reflection, raw and unfiltered. The courtroom breathes around him, slow and uneasy, as if everyone senses a shift beneath the surface. His friend is still on the witness stand, hands clenched, guilt and sadness painted across his face. Judy observes them both, two pieces of a story that began long before today. "Mr. Stanton," she says gently, "I want you to hear something." He lifts his head, eyes red, throat tight. He awaits another audio clip, another document, another weapon. But Judy doesn't reach for evidence this time. She reaches for the handwritten letter, the one from the second folder, the one he had not yet seen. She holds it up. "Your friend wrote this months ago, not for the court, for you." His friend looks down, shoulders rising and falling with a slow, painful breath. Judy reads, "I'm scared you're becoming the man you swore you'd never be. The man your father was. The man we used to talk about late at night, terrified we'd end up like. Please stop before the world stops you." The room freezes. The defendant flinches as if struck. His face crumples, then hardens, then collapses again, a war of emotions he no longer has the strength to hide. "My father wasn't," he chokes on the sentence. "He wasn't like that." But his voice wavers. Even he hears the lie. Judy studies him, her gaze no longer sharp like a blade, but steady like a light held toward a dark corner. "Are you sure about that?" He tears his eyes away. His chest rises and falls too quickly. The cameras catch the movement of his hands trembling under the table. His friend speaks softly from the stand. "I didn't come here to destroy you. I came because I was losing you. Every year you got more reckless, more cruel, more like him." The defendant presses his palms over his eyes. "Stop. Please just stop." But the truth continues, unstoppable now. "We grew up afraid of your father," his friend says, voice quiet but devastating. "You told me if you ever started acting like him, I should drag you back to yourself. And when I tried, you pushed me away." The plaintiff watches, not with victory, but with empathy. Because the courtroom isn't just witnessing guilt anymore. It's witnessing a man realize he's been living inside his father's shadow, and mistaking that shadow for protection. Judy's voice softens. "This case stopped being about evidence a long time ago. This is about the person you've chosen to become." He looks up at her, eyes glassy, his arrogance cracked open like a broken mask at his feet. "I don't want to be like him," he whispers. Judy leans in, voice low, steady, impossible to escape. "Then start by admitting that you already are." He sits in the witness chair as though gravity has doubled for him alone. His father's name, once a shield, once a crown, now hangs around his neck like an anchor, and Judge Judy is about to ask the one question he has spent his whole life avoiding. The courtroom holds stillness, like a fragile glass bowl. No sound, no shifting, no murmurs, just the quiet tension of a room watching a man face a truth too heavy to dodge. His breathing is uneven, each inhale sharp, each exhale shaky, as if his own body is trying to outrun the weight settling onto him. Judge Judy doesn't rush. She allows the silence to stretch, to press gently but firmly against him. "Mr. Stanton," she begins, "when did you decide that your father's reputation was your character?" He blinks, hard, as though trying to clear her words from his vision. "I didn't," he says, but his voice is faint, hollow. People treat you a certain way when they know who you belong to." "Belong to," Judy repeats, the phrase rolling off her tongue with deliberate care. "Is that how you see yourself?" He looks down, hands twisting together, a gesture far too vulnerable for the man who strutted in hours earlier. "I don't know." A beat. "Maybe." The plaintiff watches him closely, not triumphant, not vindictive. She watches a person learning, painfully, that the world no longer bends for him. Her posture softens, shoulders lowering just a bit, as though understanding that this moment is bigger than victory. Judy leans back slightly. "Your father's name did not protect you today," she says. "It exposed you." His eyes flick upward, wounded. "I'm not him." "No," Judy agrees. "But you have been acting like the version of him you feared most." The words land like a quiet blow. He closes his eyes, jaw trembling. His friend shifts in the witness chair, guilt tightening every line of his face. "We grew up hearing stories about him," the friend says softly. "About the things he got away with. You swore you'd be the one who didn't turn out that way." The defendant grips the edge of the table as though the wood keeps him from collapsing. "I tried," he whispers. "I really did." "But trying," Judy replies, "is not the same as choosing." The lights overhead seem harsher now, spotlighting every flaw, every regret tugging at his features. His breathing grows ragged. He wipes at his eyes but stops halfway, realizing he no longer cares if the cameras see him cry. The plaintiff speaks, just above a whisper. "You hurt me," she says. "But I don't think you woke up wanting to hurt anyone. I think you didn't know how to stop being what people told you you were." He looks at her, really looks at her. For the first time, his eyes shine, not with arrogance, but with something painfully close to recognition. Judy folds her hands. "This is not about shame," she says. "It is about responsibility. And responsibility starts when you stop hiding behind a name and start standing behind your choices." His breath stutters, caught on the sharp edge of truth. Judy asks, quietly but unmistakably, "When did you stop wanting to be better than this?" He tries to speak, but the words keep breaking apart in his throat. It is not the courtroom that overwhelms him now. It is the realization that, for the first time in his life, he cannot outrun himself. The silence after Judge Judy's question stretches out like a long, unbroken shadow. He stares at the floor as if answers might be hiding in the grain of the wood. His hands tremble in his lap. He presses them together, trying to still them, but the shaking only worsens. "Mr. Stanton," Judy says softly, "look up." He lifts his gaze slowly, reluctantly, and meets the eyes of the woman who has peeled back every layer of his defenses. Her expression is not cruel. That almost makes it worse. There is no satisfaction there, only expectation, accountability, a mirror. "When," Judy repeats, "did you stop wanting to be better than this?" He swallows, the sound audible in the hushed courtroom. "I don't know," he says, voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know when it happened." Judy waits. She does not push. She lets the truth find its own way out. He takes a shaky breath. "I used to care. I really did. When I was younger. I promised myself I wouldn't become someone people feared. I wanted to be respected. I wanted to earn things." His voice cracks. "Somewhere along the line, I stopped trying." His friend shifts in the witness chair, eyes glistening with regret and recognition. The defendant continues, words spilling now, unguarded and raw. "Every time I messed up, my father cleaned it up. Every time I yelled at someone, he'd say, they deserved it. Every time I crossed a line, he'd move the line for me. And after a while, I didn't even see the lines anymore." Judy folds her hands slowly, letting him speak without interruption. "This is no longer about the case. It is about a man deconstructing the person he has become." The plaintiff watches him, not with pity, but with an understanding shaped from her own wounds. She listens, steady and quiet, allowing his confession to land without softening its weight. His breath trembles. "I hurt people because I thought I had the right to. I thought being a Stanton meant no one could tell me no. I'm not even sure I know who I am without that name." Judy leans forward. "You are discovering that now," she says. He wipes his face with the back of his hand, uncaring of the cameras, the courtroom, or the image he once clung to so tightly. "I don't know how to fix this," he says, voice breaking. "I've made such a mess of everything." Judy's tone softens in a way that feels like both mercy and warning. "You cannot fix what you will not face, but taking responsibility is a beginning." His eyes close, and for a moment he looks like a man standing at the edge of his own reflection, finally ready to step inside and face it. When he opens them again, something is different. Not healed, not forgiven, but real, honest. "Then I'll start," he whispers, "by admitting it." Judy nods once, slow and solemn. "Good," she says, "because the next part is where responsibility becomes action." His voice, once sharp enough to slice the room in half, is now barely a whisper. Not weak, just honest. And honesty, for a man who has worn masks his whole life, is its own kind of trembling. Judge Judy allows him time to breathe, not to escape accountability, but to collect enough courage to face it. The courtroom, sensing the fragile shift, seems to settle as well. The harsh fluorescent lights no longer feel like interrogation lamps. They feel like clarity, like daylight breaking through smoke. He rubs his palms together, grounding himself in a gesture that looks almost childlike. "I want to make this right," he says. Not as a performance, not as strategy, simply because the alternative, continuing to be the man he has been, terrifies him more than any verdict. Judy considers him for a long moment. Not the arrogant boy who strutted in hours earlier, not the reckless heir hiding behind a famous last name, but the human being sitting before her now, small, humbled, and finally listening. "What does making it right look like to you?" she asks. He hesitates. This is new territory. No script, no rehearsed lines, no father's influence to echo. I need to apologize," he says, "to her and to him." He glances at the plaintiff, then at his old friend. "And I need to stop pretending any of this is someone else's fault." Judy nods once, the approval subtle but significant. "An apology," she says, "is only meaningful if followed by action." He nods back. "I understand." Judy turns to the plaintiff. "Ms. Hayes, would you like to say anything before I issue consequences?" The plaintiff breathes in, slow and steady. "I don't need him punished to feel better," she says softly. "I just needed someone to finally hear me." Her eyes meet the defendant's. "And I needed you to stop hurting people." Her words land with gentle force, shaping the air around them. His friend speaks next, his voice trembling with both fatigue and hope. "I didn't come here to destroy you," he repeats. "I came here because someone had to help you see what you were becoming." The defendant nods, tears slipping without resistance now. "Thank you," he whispers, a phrase he has probably never meant so fully. Judge Judy lets the moment breathe before she delivers the part everyone has been awaiting. Consequence. "Mr. Stanton," she says, "you will repay the damages outlined, including legal fees. Additionally, I am referring this case to the appropriate oversight bodies for further review. This is not to ruin you. This is to correct you." He nods again, absorbing each word with a solemnity that shows he finally feels the weight of them. "What matters most," Judy continues, "is that you do not treat accountability as cruelty. It is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to prevent you from destroying others." The defendant exhales shakily, and for the first time, it sounds like acceptance. Judy straightens her papers. "Now," she says with calm finality, "we address what comes next. Before the verdict falls, do you believe people like him can truly change, or only learn to hide their behavior better?" The room feels different now, not tense, not triumphant, but balanced, as though the truth has finally settled in the spaces where arrogance once stood. Judge Judy lifts her eyes, steady and calm, and everyone knows the end has arrived. The defendant sits straighter than before, but not out of pride, out of acceptance. His hands are folded, shoulders set, breathing low and measured. He looks younger now, stripped of entitlement, stripped of bravado. Somewhere along the way, in the space between denial and confession, the boy who walked into the courtroom dissolved, leaving behind someone quieter, someone real. Judge Judy studies him for a long moment. No fire, no fury, just clarity. "Mr. Stanton," she begins, voice even, "this court is not in the business of humiliating people. It is in the business of accountability. He nods. Not a shallow nod, an understanding nod. You caused harm, she continues. And harm, when left unacknowledged, becomes a pattern. Today you broke that pattern, whether you intended to or not. He swallows, eyes shimmering. I know, he says softly. I accept whatever you decide. Judy turns slightly toward the plaintiff. Ms. Hayes, your testimony was steady, credible, and deeply human. You asked not for revenge, but for acknowledgement. Today, you receive both acknowledgement and justice. The plaintiff nods, her expression gentle, relieved but not vindictive. Judy shifts her attention again, her voice calm as stone. This court orders the defendant to repay all damages and fees associated with this claim. Additionally, the matter will be forwarded to the appropriate oversight entities for review. What happens there is beyond this courtroom, but it reflects the seriousness of your actions. He nods again, breath tight but steady. And finally, Judy adds, you will provide a formal written apology to Ms. Hayes within 10 days, not as a legal requirement, but as a moral one. You owe her that. A tear slips down his cheek. This time, he doesn't wipe it away. I will, he says. I promise I will. His friend on the witness stand watches him with cautious hope, like someone witnessing the first flicker of a long dormant light. The plaintiff watches too, and though forgiveness is not given today, something softer enters her expression. Closure. Judge Judy takes a slow breath, letting the weight of the moment rest across the room. You stood behind your father's name for years, she says, but today, you stood on your own choices, and that is where growth begins. He exhales shakily, a breath that sounds like a burden lifting, not fully, but enough to see daylight. Judy lifts her gavel. This matter, she says, is concluded. The gavel falls. A single sound, final, resonant, moral. The defendant closes his eyes. The plaintiff closes hers. 2 lives, altered by the weight of truth. Arrogance believes it cannot be touched. Justice proves, quietly, inevitably, that every man must answer for the person he chooses to become.